Franklin on track. South Levy residents, Ms. Pam Willis and Mr. Eldridge Fowler.
Pam's going to point at certain places on the map that I've got on the board. And then maybe we'll help you a little bit. My name is Eldridge Fowler. I've lived in English, Florida all my life. I hate even be here this morning, but I need to explain the urgency of the flooding in our area. Every 3 to 5 years or less, whenever there's major flooding in homes in the area, many residents are given promises by Levy County officials. I'm going to read you just some of the examples. This area of the county has been declared a disaster area by our governor, and we now have the funds to do this work. We just need to wait until it dries up. We have the 60-inch culverts ready and staged, just have to wait until it dries up so we can install them at the location mentioned on Butler Road. Our county engineer has looked at presently installed culverts and they are satisfactory and can handle the water. Pam's going to bring up a picture specifically about that point. We are ready to install the 60-inch culverts, but we are going to do it at the same time we repave Butler Road. That was 2 or 3 years ago. It's not done yet. I'll just cut this one short. Past excuses I've heard is, well, we have so many problems with Swift mud that they won't allow us to do it. I was in a meeting with Carolyn Risher, past mayor of Inglis, Sam Yurdy, commissioner of Levy County, and there's a couple other people in here that was in that meeting. And Swift mud said they had no problem taking that ditch back down to its original dug depth. I said we did not even need a permit. And Carolyn Risher and Sam Yurdy said, are you willing to give that to us in writing? They said, no problem. So that's not an excuse anymore. We can do that. I'd like to, let's see. We've got some corrective actions we would like to get, which by the way are, and I'm not knocking anything on here, they're all good things. But money from the county to the city of Bronson to pave a street that's already paved and it may be in disrepair. But people's flooded houses, septic tanks overflowing, the mosquito larvae, to me that's more important than repaving a road or building an exhibit for whatever. I know they're important things, but they're just not as important to me. By the way, my house is not going to flood anymore. Built a dam around my house and installed pumps. Anyhow, we'll put on, I'll tell you what we recommend, but I'll also tell you, by the way, we've got 80 signatures here of people that attended the meeting in Town Hall. We're gonna, if we don't see some action in the next probably 7 months, in the terms of plans at least, and we don't see digging by next spring, we're gonna have to pursue this legally. But I think, I'm pretty sure y'all will see what we're talking about. There's two, we were the first ones to admit that this is a natural drainage basin. There's 2 major northern drainages that come out. I think they're 3/10 and 7/10 of a mile from C48, north of C48. There's also 4 culverts minimum that go under 19 to this area.
Those are the states?
The two, yes, they're the Department of Transportation.
Okay.
But the 2 major culverts are 3 10-foot by 5-foot sections in each culvert.
So there's 6 total.
6 total. The ditch is made in a shape like this. The bottom portion of it's 25 foot wide. So that's a minimum of 50 foot of flow through there. And then if you go just west of 19, all the rain in there that comes on down past C48 is also building up. So you get down to right where C48 goes to the 4-way stop in Yankeetown. That ditch goes from dumping a 50-foot wide minimum ditch down to a 5-foot wide ditch. Johnny McDonald and myself and Gary Jones walked it the other day, and I'm sure Johnny's probably showed y'all many blockages and everything else. But that ditch is along a 40-foot right-of-way, 30-foot right-of-way, and it was dug in 1962. I was out there fishing when the county was digging it. And we need to make that ditch probably 10-foot wide, and it, like I said, it's got a 30-foot right-of-way. So if you're dumping 50 foot into 5 foot, this is almost to scale, by the way. That's why I brought this photo. It's hard for some people to understand. This is almost to scale. So you're dumping this much water through a choke point down there at the 4-way stopping. Well, really, it's in from the 4-way stop. About a, quarter mile, Gary? It's in the original Cattail Creek dumps into it. Most people from Yanktown know what Cattail Creek is. But this, if we get these corrective actions, what's going to happen? We're going to have to start at the end of that drainage ditch down at C48, back in the woods a quarter mile, and dig east toward Butler Road. Now, we know money's limited, so we would like it cleared all the way to 19, but you can't do that. We need it clean between Butler Road and the C48 down there. And we really need a bridge built on Butler Road where I think it's 4 or 6 culverts are now. They're 36-inch culverts, if I remember right.
I think there's different sizes, but average is 36.
And the county engineer said they're sufficient to handle the water flow. Me and Pam went down there and measured during this past flood, and the water was, 42 inches above the...
45 inches on the receiving side.
Yeah.
Higher than the top of the culvert. That tells us that it can't hold them.
If it would not have breached Butler Road, and she'll show you how many places, it would have done a lot more damage. We would also like the culverts down on Maple Ridge Road. I think there's 2 or 3 down there. They're 24-inch culverts. They're going to have to be replaced with bigger culverts. Pam, I'm going to turn it over to you with the pictures.
Okay. Good morning, my name's Pam Willis. We've been dealing with this, I personally have been dealing with this for 10 years. When we first moved from a flood zone in Bonita Springs to a flood zone, so I'm good at this. We understand Mother Nature can do her thing. We all live in Florida, you know, but...
That was part of Mother Nature before.
But our biggest problem that we have in this particular area, and we tried to explain this to a lot of residents, that we had a meeting on Saturday because we didn't want this place to be bombarded with people that are affected and a bunch of different stories on their homes and stuff like that. We tried to keep this as concentrated as possible to make you guys understand. If this creek bed is full, for example, if we get, you know, we have a wet summer, it's already got flowing water. It's not over the banks or anything. It's doing, but you know, with the rain that we're getting, it's staying inside the banks. But if, for example, if it's full, we get 5 inches of rain in the next 24 hours. My yard's got 24 inches of water in it. No septic, nothing. So it doesn't matter if we get 5 inches or 25 inches. We still have the same result. I've flooded almost 10 times in 10 years. Not necessarily the same year or every year, but sometimes twice. And in February and August, I'll get this. I don't even have livestock anymore because I used to raise quail. I had to release them during the flood so they could go find high land because I had no place to put them. So this is an ongoing issue for Springley and a lot of county officials. I know Mark's not with us anymore, but I got John McDonald, which is really working with us great. We've been trying to get these culverts enlarged, cleaned up, whatever. They're all dilapidated. You'll see as you go through the pictures. I'll have her go through, and you can just slowly go through them. And nothing's been done to them. They just nobody wants to maintain the ditch too. Is another problem because who's going to clean the debris out when the water does rise? So we're pushing not for bigger culverts. We're pushing for a bridge. We really need a bridge. Right here is the opening of a culvert that has a maple tree probably 50 plus years old. And they've known about this, it's been brought to their attention, and nobody's come down during the dry season and cut that tree down. Not that I want to cut a maple tree down, but this is floodage. I mean, obviously it's not being maintained. Some of them are half, there's silts in them. These are the culverts that, and she'll be bringing them up here, that you'll see that the big 10-foot culverts are feeding to. Now keep in mind, we're also getting all the water from the north that's coming from the Gothi side. That's coming across 19 and all these state culverts. So it's not just these two culverts that's bringing us water. It's all the way north of here. And then we've got all the logging going on, thousands and thousands of acres of logging between Gothi and the Gulf Hammock Management. We don't have those trees to suck up the water for us now. So this is going to get worse with each building permit, with each acre that's logged. This is going to create more and more problems. The only thing that saved my house was it did reach Butler Road. It was so this is when the water went down, so you could see the culverts. This is in between the stage of the water hadn't crested yet on some of these pictures. This is a week after we flooded, so that you can see the size of the culverts. That's my yard, which can happen with 5 inches or 25 inches. The results are the same. When the water comes up, this last time, that's my front yard. That is breaching Butler Road. There's 17 places on Butler Road. As she goes through them, you'll just see them. There's 17 places on Butler Road that breached within a 3.5-mile area. On Butler Road, 3 miles north of my house, I went out, and you'll see a bunch of pictures that I took going out there. This was the day after the water started rising. It still hadn't crested yet. So we still had another 24 to 48 hours before it crested. These were just the ones that I took that day. This is the set of culverts that you just saw, the dry ones. This is them here. This is almost coming over the bridge, on top of the bridge, 45 inches over the top of the culvert. And the engineer of Levy County, whoever it was, says that they were perfectly adequate to take the water that those big culverts were feeding to it from 19. In a 3 mile distance, there's only 3 sets of culverts on Butler Road to my house. You have one 3 miles north of us, which is 3 60-inch culverts, which you'll see here towards the end, which were working great, but the water was still coming across Butler Road, even with the 60-inch culverts from there. From a mile from those is a set of 24-inch, 2 24-inch culverts. So we have a set of 60, a mile from the set of 60, we got 2 24, and then the next set on the 3rd mile is the 6 that you saw pictures of. So there's only 3 sets of culverts for Butler Road. Those 3, there's the 2 24 inches, that's the intake side, I believe. No, that's the intake side, the other one is the outside. And you can clearly see that those couldn't put the water through because the water was way above the top of the culvert. So clearly, there's by far not enough culverts going across Butler Road to help alleviate all the water that's coming from the Gothi to us. The Gothi and north. I mean, because that water's going to go to the Gulf. This particular ditch that he's talking about that was dug back in 1962 goes all the way to the marsh. So all we're asking is why not utilize something that's an existing ditch that we have. We just have to go in there and improve it to help us with the flooding. And we've tried to explain this to a lot of the people in English. If this particular area that it's a problem, it's going to keep that water from going out into the other areas. And some of the bad areas that flooded into the neighborhoods. The only reason they flooded so bad was because this particular choked area is not taking the water like it's supposed to. So we want to improve that ditch, bridge that, and so that it can handle that water that's coming this way, so it won't feel like it's got to ooze out into the neighborhoods. And then from there, we have a much bigger project. But we're trying to start at the core and work our way out. And we had to explain this to a lot of the residents that, no, this may not directly affect you right now, but we're going to work with the county, and we're going to try and improve this because, like I said, with more, those are the 60-inch culverts. The more they log and the more building permits that get handed out, this is only going to get worse, whether it's Mother Nature.
This will affect the biggest majority of people that get flooded. It'll help everybody from Bone Slough down to the south side of C40.
And like I said, the pictures you saw with the 10-footers, there's multiple of those all the way up 19. So it's coming from the east to the west, no matter what, and it's going to find the path of least resistance. And it just so happens that path is right there that we need to improve so that it can get to the marsh. And so, and it'll even help Yankeetown greatly because they have that creek that comes out of Yankeetown called Cattail Creek that feeds into that ditch. Yankeetown will be able to drain with that mosquito ditch into the marsh where the water wants to go. That's it.
Yeah, that is the main drain, the ditch that we're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Comments, questions?
My own question would be is, I know on some ditches, they belong to us, but the majority of the ditches don't belong to us. But we don't own the easement on them ditches. We can't just go start digging in a ditch that don't belong to us. You say the county dug that ditch, the state dug those ditches for malaria control, if I'm not mistaken. The state dug it, not the county. And you made a comment that you were right. If you own the ditch, if it's yours, you can maintain it to its original state. But if you don't own it and you don't have an easement to it, we just can't send a crew down there to start digging it. That's what
We did do the research. There's a certain area where there is a 30-foot easement. We've been doing a lot, him and I have been down in the mapping trying to do research to find out who owns the easement, because who's responsible for this ditch.
Is it the homeowner that lives down there, or is it Plum Creek?
There is some areas where it goes through Plum Creek property, and there's some areas where it's not Plum Creek and it's private owners, but even the private owners are willing to allow whoever we can. Now, John McDonald reporting, I don't know if he's here today, but he's got a group that's already approved the project, and the homeowners of all homeowners, because they're all affected, are all willing to give rights to
Everybody's
those
gonna give an
easements.
easement.
Yes, and that, we've already researched all that, so we're not asking for the county to go in there and step on private property and get in there and do it.
That's kind of what I'm.
Yeah, we've already done the research on that.
Yeah, and the portion that, where you have to start, all the way from close to the Gulf, down to Cattail Creek, all the way up to Maple Ridge, it's an easement that's recorded in Plat Book 8, page 21, Public Records of Levy County. And I've already talked to all the landowners down there, even though it is a legal access for mosquito control ditch, they agree it needs to be cleaned out.
Are they gonna give us the easement?
It's already it's recorded on their plat maps and everything else as an easement. To me, you've already got it.
Well, portions of it, some of it, I
Well,
don't.
up to
What good's it gonna do to go do 50 feet and then have to skip 100
No.
feet to do 50 more feet?
It's the distance of about what, close to 3/4 of a mile? It's already got the easement on it.
As far as I know, you only have one residence, which would be Paul Halloway, that the creek cuts through, the rest of it's the timber company. And Paul Halloway says, yes, you can go in there and you can clean the easement out, he's not gonna give you the rights to the easement, but he will allow whoever to go in there and clean it out, because he's also involved with the flood. He's underwater. So why wouldn't?
That's my next question. And Brian, they say they'll give us the right to clean it out, not the easement, right? One of our men get hurt.
I don't understand what the difference is between the right to clean it out of the easement.
That's what I'm trying to get at. If one of our men get hurt, who's gonna be held? So,
Yes.
who's gonna live out?
Landowner?
If you have the right to go in and clean it out, you have to get there by easement. You have to have the easement. Okay, and I would also, I've written down the plat booking page.
Mhm.
You gotta look at the plat and see what the dedication language says. It may not be for stormwater. I don't know, I've never looked at it.
I was there when they were actually digging the ditch. I was a kid, and I'm sure some of y'all probably remember Ollie Lynch and Tom Knox, big politicians down in that area, and everybody for a year called it mosquito control drainage ditch.
Understood,
Yeah.
understood, but I still have to know
Right,
what
right.
language, man. It depends on who was dedicated to it.
Right.
We also understand there's a lot of research to be done before anything's done. We just have to start there. We've got to do this and we've got to work together. And we're willing to spend 4 more hours in the archives like we did the other day to try and find out who owned the property when the ditch was done. Which timber company owned it, because there's multiple timber companies. And the 4 hours that we spent, I found out it was American Timber on the other map that I have. We did not research American Timber. We're trying to find out who owned the property at that time when the ditch was done and go from there.
American Timber, that's wrong. or Plum Creek, right?
Yeah, but in the books, it could say Plum Creek, or it could say American Timber, but at the time, we were looking like Plum Creek or Georgia Pacific or something like that. It could have been American Timber on the book.
Well, the drain, the easement she's talking about is up there with the DOT ditch, right? It's the one on Lake
I think
David.
so.
Yeah,
Elders, that wasn't passed back.
yeah,
We looked them up too.
yeah. But the ditch that we need to clean now, or within the next year, there's already easement there. Now, who does that easement belong to?
That's what we're
On
trying
the
to find out.
plan, I don't know.
Yeah.
Read the language of the
Okay.
plan. Look it up again. See
Okay.
Just because it says it on a flat map, that don't mean that that's,
That's right.
doesn't mean that that's it.
So you're saying the residents can dig that ditch out and y'all don't have any say so?
No,
That's
sir.
what I said.
No, go to the deed book,
You need to go,
look and see
That's
the
right.
deed at the easement.
see if it's deeded, if it was deeded.
Yeah.
And all of it depends on what the language says.
That's right.
And I
And then there again, you would have to get,
anything without reading.
but then there again, you go back to the ditch maintenance. You know, whatever the maintenance on it is, can you take it back down to the original depth? There's a whole lot of stuff that's gotta be worked out for you.
Right.
Well, like I say, I've been working on this 15 years, and I haven't seen any action by the county. If y'all was to come to us and say, we need this or we need that, that would be a start. But we need some action, other than promises that we find out don't come to pass.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. Moving on. County Coordinator, Mr. Moody.
Okay, I have 3 items for you this morning. The first one I have is to do an amendment to the job description for the assistant to the county coordinator in our office. Whenever I take leave or am away to keep the flow of work going, I wanted to add this one topic. In the absence of the county coordinator, in the absence of the county coordinator, is authorized to sign internal documents such as payroll, purchase orders, budget transfers, leave and travel requests, or other internal documents as determined by the county coordinator. And that just needs to be added into the job description, that we wrote the original job description.
Make a motion to make that amendment.
So,
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Ms. Cannon?
Mr. Chairman, would the amendment have to say retroactive, Ms. Plum? Since the assistant to the county coordinator already holds that position?
Changing the description now.
Yeah, due to our auditors, our department heads, when they're hired, are authorized to sign certain things, and this position needs that authority too, but it has to be approved by the board as part of the job description or an amendment to it, to satisfy our auditors. So I was gone for like 3 days not too long ago, and things, to keep the flow going, we just don't want to get behind on getting bills paid or leave requested. That's all it is.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Carries.
The next item I have is I did receive a letter from the town of Bronson, Mayor Franklin Schuler, saying, "Dear Mr. Moody, the town of Bronson is asking for assistance in the paving of our portion of Northeast 80th Street, also known as School Street within our town limits. It has come to our attention that the above mentioned section of the roadway is slated to be paved. The town of Bronson is seeking assistance with paving our portion of the roadway in conjunction with the county's pavement activity. And that cost has been estimated by our road department to do that part of School Street that's in the town of Bronson would be $34,058.15, which I understand the town of Bronson is willing to pay their share of that part of that. Councilman Greenlee is here for the town of Bronson, and, I'm presenting on his behalf just on a possible conflict of interest coming from him. So Northeast Stadium Street is scheduled for,
Yeah, it's scheduled to be paid, it's scheduled to be built and paid this year. And, like I say, it would make no sense to have about a 1,300-foot skip in School Street, is what we call it in the town of Bronson. And, our assistant construction superintendent actually estimated the cost of the job, and that's the estimate that you have for the completion of the project from start to finish.
That's material, labor, everything.
That's everything.
Okay, and have they made an offer? I mean, are they gonna pay for the cost of the materials? Are they asking for the whole 34,000, or they wanna?
No, the town has agreed to pay that as the cost of getting the road
Oh,
done.
okay.
That's what it's gonna cost for
I
that
thought you were
segment.
asking for that.
yeah, there's a breakdown attached in your book.
Not in my book.
Labor, $15,270.65 is the labor. Parts or materials is $14,986. And there's a little bit of additional cost, but the total I come up with was $34,000, I believe.
The city's gonna pay that.
We're just gonna do the work while we're there.
And we've done that before. I think the street in front of the health department has been on a partnership with them and that kind of thing, yes.
I don't have no problem with it.
You're out there and everybody else.
What's the pleasure of the board? We have a motion by Commissioner Stevens, a second by Commissioner Meeks. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Don't go anywhere, Bruce.
The third item I have is, request approval of the renewal and amendment of lease made as of October 1, 2015 between Hudson Properties, Inc. and Levy County for the Guardian ad litem space that we rent in Chiefland. This is a joint effort between us and Gilchrist County to share the Guardian ad litem program and responsibilities. During the renewal term of October 1, 2015, ending on September 30th, 2016, the rent shall be $700 per month plus applicable costs such as outlined in Exhibit A. So the total monthly cost, time you add up the cleaning, the utilities, the maintenance, portion of the real estate taxes, we're exempt from sales tax. That's $1,712.48 a month. Based on participation between Levy County residents and Gilchrist County residents, Gilchrist pays 37% of that, and we're responsible for 63% of that. So that is the cost of the Guardian ad litem program and how it's working out. And that's an annual thing. It's the participation by the residents change from year to year, but that's what it will be for the current year. That makes our portion $1,078.86, which is 63% of that, and Gilchrist will be $633.62.
So roughly $12,945 a year. That's the pleasure of the board. We have a motion by Commissioner Stevens, a second by Commissioner Joyner. Is there any further discussion? Yes, ma'am, Ms. Tony Collins.
As an arm of the court, why is the Guardian ad litem program paying property taxes?
I can answer that.
Well, they should be.
That's part of the rent, and they broke it out like that as property tax. They could take that away and just make it part of the rent. So I guess for transparency, the owner has to pay the property tax, so it doesn't exempt.
But they shouldn't be paying property taxes. So like a non-profit organization doesn't pay property taxes.
Hudson Properties pays property tax.
They do, yes.
If I may, yeah, the guardian ad litem doesn't own the property.
Oh, that's right, they don't, oh, they don't own it, you rent, it's a rental. Okay. I stand corrected, sorry.
Ms. Reese?
Is there any possibility of negotiating with Hudson Properties?
We did,
Regarding,
Yes.
and that's,
Yes.
that's the bottom line.
yes. And this is a renewal. We've been over there now, I think. At one time, we provided space here in that key building right next door, the white building.
Yes.
We provided that, and Gilchrist provided space, so it was determined some years ago to bring it together at a neutral site such as Chiefland and the Crenshaw.
Yeah, I understand.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Assistant to the county coordinator, the newly anointed with duties, Wilberdine.
All right, Commissioners, you have before you a request from AMVET District 16 to transfer a bus that we usually use at transit. It was formerly known as LCT 14. The asset number is 6697. And it was actually taken off our inventory year before last, and it's been parked out there at the county farm. But our mechanic has checked it out, it cranks. We've had some people from the AMVETs that have came and looked at it, and Mr. Hudson and them said they could use it. Put it to good use.
Make a motion to donate the Crystal Food donate surplus vehicle to AMVET of Levy County. And do you want me to read the VIN number and all that, Ms. Annie?
Thank you.
254.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Can't think of a better group for this to go to than the AMVETs, so glad to see somebody's getting some use out of it. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
What's it gonna be used for?
I'll let Mr. Hudson speak on that as far as the use and all this.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
She, Commissioner Brooks asked what it would be used for, the,
Yes, ma'am. Well, we have many times that we go to the memorial services down at Bushnell. We have veterans who can't drive for one reason or the other. Their spouses can't drive, so therefore we could use it with that. We have trips that we make to the hospitals where we give toilet waters away, garments and and stuff like that. We could use it for that. We could use it for going to our district meetings. We have 5 MDs in the district. Many of our veterans can't drive. And so this would be a way that they could go and participate and generate more funds. We have to pay or donate to the like schools. We donated to schools. We donated to Citrus, not Citrus Hospice, but the local hospice here. And those people can't go over there when we go to those functions. Right now, we're going to be cutting real close to the Fisher House. We could use that today for that, because we got a group going over viewing the Fisher House, because we have a fundraiser coming up that we're going to donate all the proceeds to the Fisher House. And for you that don't know what the Fisher House is, it houses the dependents when their husbands, wives are in the hospital, and normally when they're housed at the Fisher House, their spouses are terminal. They're waiting for them to pass, and that costs them nothing, because people like us and y'all that support us, they're able to do that. So that's what it would be used for.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. And thank you folks very much, okay? And I'm gonna get out of your hair and let someone else have this. We'll go find me a softer seat. My back is killing me. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Update on the VAB. Okay. now you're like the clerk.
Danny asked me Friday afternoon, since he knew he was going to be tied up in, jury selection day, and we have several trials that are, in process there, to present to you that it's time to appoint the members to the Value Adjustment Board, and to let y'all go ahead and take action on that, so that they've got time to do the training and meet and select the chairman of that board.
I'll stay on if y'all want to, y'all get this new planning up in 2 years or whatever, 3 years.
I don't know. I served as an alternate last year. Isn't the chairman bound to the VA?
But if somebody else wants to do it, I'm more than welcome to give it up to them. I'm just saying that somebody else will do it.
I went through the training last year. I mean, I don't mind doing it again. If y'all want to leave me and Mike, I guess.
Second. In favor.
If you let me finish my comment.
You already got a motion.
Well, this is another discussion. Why don't we go ahead and leave everybody? Contact the other, because we have the citizen representatives in school. They're all agreed to stay. Skin all position or not. I don't think we can tell the school law is not well, I know we have one citizen representative.
One citizen representative to the board and two.
Shannon has her hand up.
Yes, ma'am.
She's gonna volunteer. Who's doing the training?
Lady out of the clerk's office handles the training. She has a little presentation. There's a book about that thing. It's just fun reading. It is top notch.
Ms. Cannon, also, we've got a site that you can go to on myflorida.com, Department of Revenue Property VAB Training Manual, and they can get it through the computer, but I've got the address for that here.
Skipper Henderson. Skipper, Natalie, you, Ryan, and Kate.
Page and
Anyway, all right, well, we have a motion to appoint me tonight.
on to the
So then we'll reach out, I'm assuming the clerk will reach out to the school board and the citizen representatives. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
I believe the board is gonna end up having to appoint a citizen representative,
I believe that's correct.
but I don't know if anybody's contacted. Mr. Henderson was your all's citizen representative on the school board. So I'm not sure if anybody's contacted him since, so,
You know, other than it being in the board packet there, I don't think there was any conversation with them simply for the sunshine and all that, because
Mr. Fuller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This report this morning was a request that's going to be handled by Ms. Kathy Johnson, who was here last time with the consideration for the apiary, along with Ms. Tony Collins. I'm going to let them do the presenting this morning. I'll be here for questions or whatever.
Good morning, my name is Kathleen Johnson, and I'm the founder and leader of the Levy County Forage Beekeepers Club that was started last year. I hope you all have some information in your packets that we got together for you. What Ms. Collins is handing out right now is an artist from what we are anticipating the apiary and beach wall to look like. Sometimes talking about it with people, it's hard for them to get a mental picture, so we thought a picture would help. I have some prepared remarks. I'm not a college speaker. Maybe if I said inquiry as a child instead of when I turned 59, better at it. But anyway, in June of this year, the Commission approved our request to keep honeybee colonies at the Extension Office. In July, the state inspected our chosen site and approved the location. During this time, much thought and research has gone into determining the best way to maintain bee colonies at the office. During summer months, the office can have between 100 and 150 children attending day camps on site. And we wanted to have a plan that would keep the kids safe and out of mischief, as well as meet the needs of the honeybees that we maintain. So far, I've found only 4 gardens around the country that keep honeybees for public viewing. I was researching to try and find a model that we could follow. We've chosen the West Seattle Bee Garden as our model. Our plan for the apiary is simple: a left enclosure without a roof that will allow viewing of the bees through glass observation windows, but will still allow bees access to forage. The state requires a 6-foot-high fence to raise the flight path of the bees to avoid direct contact with people. We're following the Seattle Gardens example of 8-foot height. We decided to see if there was interest beyond the forage program in our project, and I contacted the 13 principals for the schools in Levy County and got responses from 10, and half of them said they were definitely interested in sending students on field trips to the apiary once we have it in operation, and the remaining said that they could need to talk to the teachers to see if they can do their lesson plans. I don't have numbers to present, but most people our group has spoken with about the project also want to visit, so we have interest from the public also. With this interest, we decided to expand from just an apiary to include demonstrations of what's involved in keeping bees, a trail with educational exhibits including native bees, different hives used over the centuries, and a hands-on exhibit where kids can pretend to be a theater keeper. They can dress out, they can open a mock hive, they can inspect frames and have pictures, what frames of bees look like. We're also planning garden areas with native forage plants and crops that bees pollinate, and then Mr. Ford is anxious to try growing pumpkins on the grounds. And the Master Gardener program is willing to help us with this part of our project. It was a very pleasant surprise when Mr. Dean came to our planning meeting last month, and when he said that there might, and just might, be some funding available from some different departments' budgets to help us fund this project. We were really excited. So we're here today, and Mr. Dean and Mr. Jones have the estimates for what it will cost for just the apiary portion of the trail. We do have the materials covered for actually building the trail, the walkway. We wanted to have cement, concrete for ADA handicap purposes, so we could be accessible to everyone who would come. This project does have an overriding goal, as you can read in the supplemental materials that have been provided. Beekeepers and bees and the agricultural industry are being stressed. The majority of beekeepers in the U.S. are over 50 years of age. It's my and our hope that this project will help educate people about the need for bee pollinators to maintain the quality and quantity of the food that we enjoy in this country. The need for farmers and beekeepers to work as a team, and especially the need for youth to get involved in beekeeping and consider this as a career. We want to also help dispel the myths and fears that we have about bees. Sometimes a person's been stung as a child and it's marked in life. So we want to help educate folks. So I do want to thank you for your time and consideration, and I want to express a big thanks to Jimmy Jones and Ms. Collins and Mr. Dean for the help they provided us so far with our project.
houses you talking about?
Three, possibly four, but probably 2
How much honey? How much honey we gonna get out of it?
I checked storage, there are storage maps available, from the Fresh from Florida website that were set up originally to help beekeepers in the citrus industry communicate with each other to prevent bee kills when, the beekeepers come to, collect nectar for, the orange blossom honey. They have, forage maps, for the whole state. And, the area around the extension office looks to be pretty good as far as, palmetto, strawberry, cabbage palm, as well as the wildflowers going on here. So, there's no guarantees in between, but, I'm very hopeful that we will get some honey from.
I'm sure Mr. Dean knows how to gather honey.
If a child in a wheelchair, would they be able to see into this?
Yes, ma'am. The, bottom's gonna be 2-foot board on the bottom, and we're planning 4 foot of glass, and, then 2 foot above would be wood. So a child should be able to go right up to the glass and observe what's going on in the figure.
And for the board to know, there is a person that has said that they will match half of whatever we decide, if we decide to go forward with this.
They would match whatever we want. Or did it say we're good? What is it now?
It's three different.
It's gonna be about $4,500 for the apiary. The most expensive part is the glass, and then another about $500 for the materials. Mr. Jones.
Just to reiterate what Ms. Lilly brought up, that was something that we addressed at the beginning, was maybe something ADA where kids with a wheelchair or somebody having access to it, maybe it was in a walker or something to get to it. So we've actually leveled that area with assistance from the road department, a lot of their equipment. So it used to be an above ground septic tank. And with the town coming in and putting a new septic tank, we actually had that thing removed, and then we lowered it to an elevation that a handicap could get to it, somebody in a scooter or walker. So like they were saying, I think it's a win-win for the county. We've done a lot of stuff in-house. There's been a lot of people wanting to donate, and I'll tell you, Ms. Collins is a spearhead behind it, and Ms. Kathy will tell you. She won't take the credit a lot of times, but it's really neat to see how it's going. Some of the costs that you're seeing with the actual glass is the recommendation for, it could be a hurricane, it could be something with bad weather, so we had to make that glass a little bit better than maybe a plexiglass or something that's going to last, and not you guys, somebody come back at you guys and say that we put something inferior up. So that's what kind of elevated the price a little bit, but I think it's something that other counties are going to measure off to. They've done an awesome job in the way that you see the rendering from Mr. Ed Rowe. He's a local artist from Bronson that he's a part of it also. But it's a win-win for the county. And like I said, they've done a lot of work behind the scenes and gathering stuff. But it's we're moving to get the project off the ground, and we've got stuff. They've got pictures and stuff already that we've already done. But if you have any questions for me?
Does we got the estimates here for the glass, and then Ms. Johnson, I believe, said 500 more for the other materials. Does that include the concrete?
The concrete aspect was once again, we had a donor that actually took care of that, and she's before us here today. And a local materials, Anderson Columbia, gave us a real good price, and also she took care of the rest to get this thing off the ground. And
for the exhibit areas, we're planning on those being forage projects for the kids this year, and I'm going to be helping to fund that portion of the year.
And Maintain the exhibit area. To maintain the exhibit area for the project?
To build the exhibits.
Okay.
The different beehives. The different
As you can see on the rendering, there's gonna be different stations as you come to the area there, that you'll actually see.
And we are, have made application, I believe we're going to get a spot at the CRTC festival. So, we'll be doing fundraising there too. And also, I'm working on a grant right now because of this. So we're keeping busy.
So which one of these are you most interested in?
The cost that's 4 foot high, I think it was $4,085 is the final cost. Because the glass people are going to donate the labor very strongly.
Once again, the actual glass company that you see there, they've done a lot of the work here at the courthouse. As you guys come through the security area, they've done the glass work there. He's supplying just the material that you see there, and he's doing his labor. I think he's donating, if I understand correctly. He was doing the labor.
Ms. Kathy, you're suggesting that you want that the best one would be the 12 foot by 4 foot panels. Is that the one? Because you got 4, 5, and 6.
Right, he gave us for estimate because we asked for cost of treatment pipe for us. The Seattle Bee Garden has full lean 8 foot panels. But to do what we want to do, to give, show kids what's going on inside the apiary, have our people demonstrate, for them. 4 foot is definitely sufficient. 5 foot is nice, but 4 foot would be more than enough.
Because the top of the glass at that point would be just buzz over 6 foot off the floor.
There's gonna be 2 foot of wood on top.
Right, what I'm saying, it's gonna be up off the ground a little bit. And it's gonna
2
be
foot.
2 foot wood.
2 foot of wood, 4 foot across, 2 foot of wood.
So that's gonna be about 6 foot then. So
Well,
it won't
six, seven.
see that somebody tall would have to bend over to look in, correct?
Right, people will be able to see without a
Step back from the glass, sir.
Or somebody in a wheelchair could actually pull up and actually see, or somebody standing can see what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't have that. You can have stand on our tiptoes, but other than that, we're good.
Jimmy, and your recommendation, just for $400 more, and we went for 4 foot, 5 foot, with the benefit, the scenery where they can see it more or better?
Truthfully, I mean, Ms. Johnson, I think it's actually good what they picked. I think the 4 foot.
The 4 foot.
I think as we get higher, and Bill's probably in here somewhere, Bill Hammond.
No, he had to go across some interest.
We'll probably get into some different stuff as far as structural type
Okay.
stuff. And I think we're staying in the parameters right now by what they're suggesting and what we've actually looked at. I think it's good to stay with where it's at.
Well, not to steal Mike's thunder, but my dad has a garden, and I think he spends this much on bees every year because he buys a hive and he has them, and then something happens to them and they die, and he has to start all over again. So it would be maybe he could learn how to keep them alive.
I had one hive last year, this year I had 6, and they're going great things.
There you go, charge for lessons.
We definitely need to have one of them boxes that we have in the state park where you can drop a few dollars in. That would be helpful. We keep costs
We were gonna do it for free, but.
Well, what's the pleasure of the board, guys, girls, folks?
I'll make the motion, we let them do it, I think it's the one.
How much money we gonna give them? That's the question, I think.
2,000?
They say we're gonna match it. Let's do our part and come over half of it.
2,040, 250?
Yeah.
Does that sound right? You put that in form of a motion?
Yes, I do. Add to the advice.
Is that gonna be sufficient? Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Joyner and a second by Commissioner Rockmeeks. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
May I just say one thing? Be careful who you sit next to in a board meeting. I sat next to Kathy back there in the corner several board meetings ago. She never said a word through the whole meeting. So I turned to her at the end and said, "Are you running for county commissioner?" And she said, "No." And then she explained what she was into. And unfortunately, sitting right in front of me was Jimmy. So I said, "Well, you two need to meet each other." And that's how I got involved with this. But I want to say that Kathy and Mary and Albert and Jimmy have been great. This is a good example of how we can all work together for the children.
That's right.
So, thank you. I appreciate all that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No, Ms. Tisha.
You looking
Better looking than that.
Good morning. I'm here to ask for, we need to ratify the approval and submission for the county coordinator for the application for the planning assistant for the Restore Act. And we need to authorize the county coordinator to approve and submit items that come through for the Restore Act because our deadlines don't always meet the ordinance. And I have enclosed, you should have a copy of everything that I have submitted to the Restore Act thus far for the planning assistance. This is not for the projects, this is just for planning assistance for the multi-year implementation.
More of that fun reading. Yeah. What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to approve, let me see where I'm at.
How did you want word?
214-14, annual recertification.
No.
How much wrong?
We're on grants coordinator.
Okay, you got it.
Approve as presented.
So moved.
So moved. We're on the next one, that payment deal.
All right. Is there a second for Mike's motion?
Second.
Motion is second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. Are you leaving right now?
I am.
Okay, are you going to your office? I have stuff from the meeting last week. I'll bring you a copy of it. All right?
Okay, before you leave, will you ask Ms. Cat, call me, please? Thank you.
Ms. Brasher.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I bring you good news from Southgate. Finally, some good news today. Okay?
Amen.
Actually, I would like to thank the board. I would like to thank Mr. Fred Moody, and I would like to thank Jimmy Jones for their support in helping the Friends of the Library AFNOS replace their carpet. Okay? Took a while, but we got the job done, so thank you very much for your support. Okay, the one item I have on the agenda, and I know we're running late, is request the approval of the state aid grant. State aid to libraries, we've done this every year. Probably Miss Tony could tell you even longer, but it's probably going on about 25 years now. So unfortunately, all of y'all have heard, state aid has been cut to $1 above what is required for federal aid. So we've been cut as far as we can be. We don't have any actual real numbers at the moment because of the formulas that go in October 1st. But, I mean, it is the plain, regular state aid grant. I wish I had numbers for you.
And you get those numbers with you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So they usually don't come out until closer to Chad's, closer to February. Because, as Commissioner means the same, but the quarters and the 2 quarters and everything, so a lot depends on how much local support we have and how much local support everybody else
We have a motion by Commissioner Rooks, second by Commissioner Rock Meeks. Is there any further discussion? It pains me to see the state cut library aid money every year. I'm telling you, it's heartbreaking, but they have their priorities somewhere else. So, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
Okay, Commissioner Weeks,
I got 2 library books in my car, and you turn into probably another $1
time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, I have 3 items on this morning's agenda. First item up is our quarterly report. We continuously strive to improve our services provided to our county. We've phenomenally successful with our training during the last quarter on new equipment we received through grant funding. Our community CPR program continues to be a success. During this past month, we've done 3 trainings with a school program for the elementary school teachers in both Bronson and Chiefland. EMS week was a big success. Thank you to the board members assisting with providing lunches to the EMS staff all 3 shifts while they were on duty during the EMS week. During this time frame, we also had our WSKY First Responder Valor Award that went to one of our paramedics, Cody Basham, who led the delivery of a preterm breech-birth infant. It was a very complicated delivery. The baby was a success and today is living. If it wasn't for those crew members, that baby would have passed away. So a phenomenal success story for Cody Basham in that story. Accounts receivables continually maintain a steady increase, a slow, steady increase, and that's what we're continuously looking for is that slow, steady increase. So it has been an improvement over the past 3 years, and that's just going to be a slow, steady process to continuously work with our insurance companies to have the best revenue recovery we can in our reports and follow-up mechanisms. During this quarter, we had 19 attaboys that were sent into our service from either peers or from hospitals for recognition of how great our employees are through their hard work and dedication to service and providing great service to the community. We continue to see an increase in services. During this quarter, fire operations responded to 211 calls during that quarter throughout the county's fire protection area. And nighttime services continue to be provided by the volunteers within those areas as well. Our EMS calls for service continue to stay around the same spot, around 1,900, 2,000 calls per month. As you see on page 14, the busiest station continues to be the Chiefland EMS station, and our slowest station continues to be Cedar Key with 148 calls during the last quarter in Cedar Key, as opposed to Chiefland with 418 calls. So it's a big disparity in the area, but as you see, it's pockets, settlement pockets throughout the county. It makes it a challenge for us providing enough services in a timely fashion. So we're continuously evaluating how to improve those items as well. Also, while we're at this page, September 1st, the Fanning Springs Transport Unit went online, and that's been a success. And as soon as we finish the construction at the Morrison Fire Station, the 7th Transport Unit will go online for the system deployment of transport units. Calls for service, roughly 1,997 calls for service. Of that 1,900, roughly we transported 1,300 patients. That disparity comes where we arrive on scene, it's a motor vehicle accident, somebody just doesn't want to get to the hospital, is injured, refuse to go to the hospital in those situations. Breakdowns continues to be marginal throughout the time. Our highest repair rate for one of our units this past quarter is one of our transport units, number 155. Subsequently, 155 was also the one that was destroyed in the accident. So it's just as well we were able to get rid of it because it's creating some problems for us anyway.
Sound like that was planned.
It was a blessing in disguise. So it worked out good for us. So we'll see those changes throughout. The new chassis for that vehicle was delivered at our dealer here in Florida on Friday. This past Friday, we started taking the old unit apart and getting ready to put on the new chassis. So we'll see that new unit back in service very shortly. Breakdown costs, obviously EMS is our largest breakdown cost through this time frame on our breakdowns. So roughly $2,700 overall throughout our whole system with EMS. Transport units run about $1,600 in our breakdowns. That's our conclusion of the quarterly report for the third quarter of this year. Second item on the agenda is our quarterly write-offs. Yes, sir.
Do we have any questions, David, about the quarterly report?
You said 1,900?
Yes, sir.
Out of 1,900, how many of them actually paid?
In big cave.
I was just curious.
Not as many as should.
Okay. And then our Medicaid, as I had a chance, opportunity to meet with the other commissioners during my briefings, our numbers for private pay, and I have a chance to get with you on it, our numbers for our private pay are actually reducing, and our Medicaid patients are actually reducing. So we're seeing more of our Medicare transport and private transports. So we are doing that. We're trying to reduce the number of private pay and Medicaid and increase our insurance. So it's just due diligence of our great staff to continue to get that insurance information so we can properly bill for the services rendered.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. The next agenda item is our third quarter write-offs of $95,321.52. Requesting the board's approval for the write-offs.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Third item on the agenda is approval to expend budgeted funds from 14-15 budget year for a Dell server for the Public Safety Administration Office of $30,919.42. Requesting board's approval to expend those budgeted funds from necessary equipment.
We have a motion, do I hear a second?
What's this for?
It's a redundancy to our existing server that we have now, so we have two of them be running in parallel, so we have a redundancy within our system, as well as our network connections go through, our billing services go through. So the two services will be running in parallel as backup.
Did you put this out to bid, or did you check with other vendors?
This is, we directly purchase right through Dell, ma'am, through our government contract with Dell, so we purchase directly from Dell. So the answer is no, ma'am, but we do use our state bid prices from Dell, and that's with all of our equipment is through Dell. So it's a continuous system, or continuous components throughout our system of Dell products.
So they give you a good price?
Yes, ma'am.
We have a motion by Commissioner Stevens, a second by Commissioner Jordan. Is there any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dan.
Mr. Greenlee. Yes, ma'am.
Just make a comment on the write-offs for the quarter. Didn't we hear 313,000 not so long ago?
Yeah, nobody ever said a word about that.
Yeah, it's down to 95. We're going, David.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, we had a very large return in July of this year. We had $209,000 revenue for our July quarter building quarter, so that's in reduction. As I explained earlier, the lower number of private pays and Medicaid pays is a lower number. That could change drastically next month, next quarter.
I like hearing that figure.
I get my Medicaid card next week and I'll pay it next month.
Make sure you sign it. I'm good to go.
I only have one item, request permission from the board to seek right away for, a portion of Southeast 160th Avenue, and it's the portion that's not county maintained, approximately 3/4 of a mile more or less. And I got there was a letter request from Mr. Wampanato, saying his name correctly. So we went out and we did house and traffic count, but, and it did meet certain criteria, so just requesting, the board commissioner to write letters to property owners and seek, I'm actually gonna seek 60 foot of right of way.
Are they gonna have to pay?
No, ma'am, just dedication of right of way.
I mean,
No, it's not an MSBU. It's a continuation of a road that's a LCR that was, that we've already maintained, probably, I don't know, 35, 40 years, I guess.
that's good.
We're just cleaning up the right of way issue, right? 60 feet.
Wait, no, this is additional right away for, it's a continuation of the road itself.
What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to remove it from that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Joyner, second by Commissioner Stevens. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Do you have something you need to tell me?
I better tell you in private. No, I don't have to tell you.
What's going on with the bridge in Cedar Key?
All right, this is where we are right now. I talked to Mr. Suarez from Universal Engineers on last Wednesday, because I know they were coming out to this area to do some, I guess some sonar at one of the fire stations, the firehouses, or MS stations. But he told me that he wasn't sure if he was gonna be able to get to me today, because that's about a 4-hour process, 6-hour process down out there. But he recommended someone and gave them my number for them to contact me, and they haven't contacted me yet. So Jimmy was gonna talk with him today when they did meet at the MS station about possibly getting us on the schedule to go out and check for avoiding a approach to the bridge. So that's where we are. And that's pretty much what
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Bruce.
All right.
I got a question. Miss Lily, in one of the meetings, had said something to Bruce about the Shell Mound Road.
Yeah.
How we coming?
We coming. Still,
What's that mean?
we're still trying to get the permit and completed, so that we can begin that road. But that's where we are. We're still in the permit process. We had some problems with some of the salt marshes that were going to get contaminated or going to get, I don't know the words you want to use, encroached upon, disturbed. So we're trying to do mitigation and get that finished up so that the permit process can complete itself.
Well, Mr. Freddie, are you gonna tell everybody about the 1,502 acres south of the Shell Mound Road?
Go ahead, because I think you got the news before you called me and told me.
Back in June, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, Parks and Recreation purchased from the Caber Corporation, you may all remember, that's that large tract on both sides of County Road 347. And this is south of Shell Mound Road. They purchased 1,502 acres, which are being added to the Cedar Key Scrub Preserve. So that's land that will not be developed in Levy County. And the hey, we're beyond that. And then of course the U.S. Fish and Wildlife is purchasing select parcels north of the Shell Mound Road, because the Caber Corporation wants to retain some of those parcels for their own use. They have a big lodge back in there and a recreation area.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Annie.
But I've done this before for a couple other members of the Board Committee. Mr. Chris Howard and Geraldine Ladder, there's an application that is currently pending before the Historic Advisory Committee. It was submitted by the Business Development. There's been a lot of discussion that the applicant has changed the project is using done this for, Ms. Gerber, if she works for an applicant, I think the state rate that preferred. Another person, Mr. Schofield, was, president of the chamber that submitted an application to waive him. So this just does the same thing, as to be the waiver of what Mr. Howard and Ms. West.
I will add to that, for those of you who may not be familiar with this process, all the projects have been presented and each board member ranked the project accordingly. So, it's a very large group. I think there's 9 of us left now. So it's not really a case that where Mr. Coward or Ms. Ladner could skew the rankings in any way to benefit their project over another one. I mean, the law of averages would pretty much negate that. And to be quite honest with you, it is very difficult to get people to serve on these boards as it is. People are busy, they don't have a lot of spare time. So we're really lucky that we have Ms. Ladner and Mr. Coward. And I would certainly hate to see, them have to take themselves out, because they do bring a lot to the table as far as discussion and their participation on those school rec committees. So, I mean, really, at the end of the day, this is one of those things we have to do to be covered live, legally, but I don't see how they really truly have a conflict. So.
I'll make a motion for that as presented.
We have a motion by Commissioner Rod Meeks. Is there a second? And a second by Ms. Rooks. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have reached our second public comment section. Is there anyone who'd like to come forth for public comment? Ms. Tony.
I will step up to the podium.
This is official.
Serious business here.
Okay.
Now, it's a request, and I may be out of line, but I'm gonna make it anyway. When I'm coming to a board meeting, okay, along about Thursday, I will look online to see what's on the agenda, to see what I'm interested in. You all receive your board books about that time or the day after, and attached to you in each of your board books is an explanation from the requester. Okay, so I'm looking at the this agenda online, for which I thank Mr. Moody's office. However, I'm looking here at one that says, request the board to proceed to adopt the order to approve Frank Marion and Scott McKinley trustees. What is that? What was that? Wasn't it a request for a, it was the Scooter Haven?
Is that on this agenda?
No, that was the Scooter Haven.
Right, well then why didn't it say that? Okay, it was a request for a special exception for Scooter Haven. How hard is it to say that instead of these gentlemen's names? Okay, that's just one. So then we move on to the renewal between the Guardian and Ad litem. It would have been nice if there would have been an address so that we know that for those old timers who may not know that you moved from the building next door and you're over in Chiefland, that you're not going to be paying rent for that place. The other one was the update in the value adjustment board. What kind of update? I'm going to be coming before the value adjustment board. I want to know what I'm dealing with. Okay, let's go down to development. Request signature of chairman for NFIP. What is that? I'm making a request that perhaps you can expand on this so that those of us in the general public will be a little more knowledgeable on the side, a little more time, and sit through all that we sat through earlier with Scooter Haven. Maybe I'm not interested in Scooter Haven, but there may be some folks who would have liked to have been here. And because they didn't know what it was, they didn't come. Okay? That's my request. So whoever, the young lady who does the agenda isn't here. But Wilbur's here, okay? You oversee it, right? So you're getting it.
Mr. Freddie, can you,
Oh, there's the young lady that does it. Are you not the young lady that does the agenda for the board?
That's me.
Was it a bad thing? Because if not, then no.
Yeah, it is a bad thing. I'm sorry, no one can hear it. That's right. Your boss is
Requesting more information.
Yes, I'm requesting a little more information in your describing.
Will you work on that, Mr. Brady?
And, yeah, the other thing, the request of the library board. How much is she asking for?
She don't even know is the problem with that one.
Well, I'm sorry I asked that.
Because they haven't allowed that. They haven't allotted that money yet.
Okay. And also, I want to say to all of you, thank you for what you do. Really. I know I listened when you first started out about all the phone calls you get and complaints and so forth. So thank you. Thank you for sitting there and taking it all, and I give you a lot of credit.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Mr. Sheffield.
I'd just like to agree with Ms. Tomey. Just a little information here and there. Maybe some numbers on some of the grants or applicants, just the amount would be nice to know. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Donovan. I help in the Levy fence meet and greet area. I raised the money for that. I was just wondering about the volunteer program. I understand that we're supposed to go through background checks and drug testing, which I understand to be fine for volunteering here, where you are dealing with people's names, maybe money, stuff like that. But I don't understand how you have to do a background check to walk dogs and shovel a little bit of poop here and there. I find it, a little bit of a waste of the money, but I'm a volunteer up there, and I feel, and Lucille is, and if there's only two of us. I can't be there every day, which I'd like to be there every day, but I can't be there every day. But we would like to get more volunteers up there to get the dogs and cats to be more receptive to human touch, to be more adoptable. But I also wanted to make you aware that also Bob Levesque has a big group meeting that he's trying to raise funds for volunteers so that Levy County doesn't have to pay for it, and that this will raise money for everybody to go through background checks. I was wondering if there's any way that we can get through not having all that just for the animal control volunteers, since we're not gonna violate HIPAA laws on stupid.
Yes, ma'am. But the problem is, and I've explained this before, is our proximity of the animal control to the dump, where we actually work inmates. And you have to be careful that you don't violate their civil rights or their rights or expose them to a potential issue. I know it sounds ridiculous, but you may have a situation where you have a jaded ex-lover or something like that who goes through all the trouble to get to be a volunteer at the animal control so that they can run over to the dump and try to see their ex-girlfriend. There's so much bad stuff in the world today, and I know everybody, you're just making excuses, but it's a reality. We have a liability issue at the dump. I got elected, and the first thing I want to know, why can't I take my video camera to the dump? What are we trying to hide? We're not trying to hide anything. And inmates out there working. You cannot go out there and videotape an inmate working, because that's libel, slander. I thought it was because we were covering something up at the dump, but it has nothing to do with the dump's operation. It has to do with the inmates.
Well, how do we get more volunteers up there then? Is it by raising the money for them to go through the background checks then?
I don't know what the answer is to get more.
Well, I was told by Bob it was $100 to do the background check and the drug testing per person. But the problem is, volunteers don't always stay for 6 months, for 4 months, for a year, for 2. Whereas, there's a lot of volunteers going to all the other shelters that don't do that. And there are shelters that are in other dumps.
Well, let's just say this. Our insurance requires us to do background checks on all volunteers. And that's the way it needs to be.
Your insurance does that for the volunteers at the dump?
Liability.
All
I had a library lady.
background check.
All the little library ladies have background checks.
But I understand that, I was just trying to come up with a great way that we can get more volunteers up there for the animals.
Like I said, all volunteers go through the background check.
Okay, how about if we pay for them? If the person wants to volunteer and they wanna pay for their own, like I offer to pay for my own. Here's my money, do my background check, do my drug screen. What's stopping it then? If I give you $200 to go do my background check and my drug screen, can we get volunteers up there?
If I'm just working with animal control department, there are staff agencies with animal control for coming volunteers to command it. So that's, they don't have enough staff. And I don't know how many other people have volunteered to be with. There's a time where a lot of people were asking, but I don't know how many applications we ended up getting. That's just a concern of half the department.
Some of the employees there when they're volunteer, then. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, they pick a dog up somewhere and bring it there, and, I mean, you have no way of knowing what it's gonna do whenever a volunteer goes and gets it, walks in the door.
I do that by myself all the time.
Sally Ann, do you have a question?
That one, right, the question to me is, I don't think you should do that.
What Ambassador just said in here.
You get eat up.
It's saying you have to have staff supervision, it's not the number of volunteers or even the background checks. There's only so many people that were able to be handled in that facility at that time because of staff. And there's a freeze on.
Ms. Freeze?
Yes, regarding the $100 account that pays out, and I respect and understand their position about the landfill and the inmates. But we're animal control, we are separated by some degree. That I'm there alone, no one is supervising me or protecting me from the inmates on the other end. I'm walking one dog at a time.
We gotta protect them from outside. That's the problem.
Okay. $100 for a volunteer who may, in 3 months, decide, I don't want to do this anymore. So now the county has just wasted $100. So I guess the point is, are we ever going to have a group of volunteers where we can socialize the dogs, which we should be doing before we adopt the dogs out, taking them from the cage at the adoption and handing them over to someone, which is happening with myself and my husband, where they wind up with having intestinal problems, which is actually not a problem, transmitted to you. So, it's just, I'm sorry, there's a lot of work that has to be done.
I agree with you 100%, ma'am.
I do walk along with the dogs up there, so does Don. I go in the kennel and get them.
Your question was, Levy County don't ever have enough volunteers?
We have plenty of people who have asked us about volunteering. Some didn't even know that there was an animal services up there, because there hasn't been enough publicity.
Well, it's all over Facebook right now.
Well,
I'm talking about volunteers.
She's put that out there. She's asking for volunteers.
Bob and Beth started a group for Levy County advocates to get volunteers and to raise funds to get the volunteers.
I believe he's offered himself to do walkthroughs, and he's not a volunteer.
Are we gonna ever have enough volunteers to go to Lark and help those retarded children out there learn how to read and write? See, we don't ever have enough volunteers. Nobody ever has enough volunteers.
That's right, and
Nobody.
there is too.
So we have
A lot of children have plenty.
Anybody else for public comment? All right, moving on to commissioner reports. Commissioner Warren.
Have none except our local rodeo team is going to the state final.
Who is that?
September 23rd?
Ranger Agency?
Yeah, it's in.
25th.
Huh?
That's coming up quick.
Yeah.
25th, I believe,
September 25th.
24th, 25th.
Here's go ahead and throw them down there.
25th is a Friday night.
25th and 26th.
Okay.
Yeah, Friday, they talked, the cow dogs showed up Friday morning, and wound up by Saturday night.
That's at the Silver Spurgeon Arena.
Do what?
That's at the Silver Spurgeon Arena.
Yeah, in Kissimmee.
Very nice place.
Very, very nice.
Nobody, we haven't been there. It's air conditioned. Very good.
And then on Friday, September the 11th at 12 p.m. at the Criswell Church in City Key, they're having a prayer for all police and first responders. Everyone's welcome to attend. Every 3 months, we're gonna give the report on animal control instead of doing it every month. That's all I have.
Commissioner Stevens, nothing? No, you always look at last.
I mean,
Commissioner Meeks. Man, you guys always think you have to be the bad guy when everybody's ready to get out of here. First of all, I'd like to announce the legislative delegation will be September 21st. That is a Monday at 9:30 a.m. At the Dogan Cobb Building here in Bronson. Representative Charlie Stone will be here from the House of Representatives, and Senator Charlie King will be here from the Florida State Senate. I attended some meetings after our last board meeting. I went down for the Restore Act. We're discussing Pot 3 funds. If you're familiar with the Restore Act, you kind of have an idea what I'm talking about. Basically, we've already received our Pot 1 funding, and that's what the Restore Act committee that we talked about earlier, they are going to decide how that money's spent. Pot 2 money goes to the state of Florida and to the Centers of Excellence that the state is derived. And Pot 3 funding is competitively funded but managed by the state. So you have to basically get your project approved by the governor. But the preliminary discussion, what we came up with for a number, Levy County's portion would be $5,568,000 that we'd be eligible to apply for projects if the plan that we preliminarily adopted goes to the governor's office, and it looks like it will. There was some major discussion about should the 8 disproportionately affected counties receive more funding or less funding. It actually got quite heated. We were in that meeting from 9 o'clock till 5:30, and at times it was extremely hot. I'll leave it at that. But we decided on what was considered a 50-50 split. The 8 get 50% and the 13 get 50%. So, and it was based on the same formula that they used to begin with the how the percentages of the money were split up with the original Pot 1 money. So that's how they arrived at that. Legislative priorities. The biggest one everybody's talking about currently is this legislation involving relocation of utility lines. Not really a major issue here in Levy County like it is in some of the rural or the more urban counties. Basically, the private companies, be it the cable company or the telephone company, feels that it is the county's responsibility to pay to relocate utility lines, and everybody that has, in my opinion, half a brain thinks that if you're a private utility operating on our easement, you should have to pay to move your own utility lines. But they have a lot of support, a lot of lobbyist effort going on in Tallahassee. It got swept under the rug last term because of the House walking out early. It looks like that'll be back. Medicaid cost share cap of 3% per county. We're looking And that is a major issue. And of course, Amendment 1 money, how that money is going to be handled and spent. None of the representatives that were at the Florida Association of Counties meeting were happy with how the Amendment 1 money was handled last year. Basically, if you're not up to date on that, the state took a bunch of money and put it into operations and funded their own operational accounts instead of using it to purchase land or protect land. Those are just a few of the things that are out there on the legislative cycle that we need to be aware of. So you have an opportunity on September 21st to come and voice your concerns to your local representatives. And finally, something that was brought to my attention last Monday. There's already an article that's been ran in the newspaper about it. I wish the clerk was here so he could shed some more light on this. I agreed to bring up the discussion on whether or not we should videotape the board meetings. And then subsequently, should those videos be uploaded to the clerk's website. And so, due to sunshine law constraints, it's not something that we can talk about amongst ourselves, so it has to be brought up in the open meeting, and there it is. Y'all remember it.
I cannot hear you, Commissioner Stevens.
Could you move your mic closer to you so we can hear you?
I was talking to the chairman, asking him a question.
I don't have the newspaper article with me. Where's Terry? Terry, give us a brief synopsis on your article, please, sir, if you don't mind.
Well, the county commission does have minutes, but they're sparse. The written minutes are kind of sparse. They're not really, they don't give in-depth coverage to what you say in the meeting. The audio is often kind of spotty because, like, Mr. Stevens doesn't use his microphone. Sometimes it's difficult to hear different commissioners in the audio. So a camera with a panel hanging from the ceiling with audio in it would pick up all the conversations and would videotape commissioners as they conducted their business in the meetings. And I think it would be offer more transparency, more accountability, and a much better version recording of the county commission meetings that we get right now, which is there's a lot of people that complain about the audio because, like, you don't use your microphone.
Here's the microphone sitting right there.
Yeah,
y'all even had it changed because y'all thought that I was turning the microphone off when I wasn't, and had it swapped from this end to here.
I didn't do any such thing.
Terry, I was just informed that we can't pick you up, so could you please come to the podium?
Imagine that.
Who informed you that you couldn't pick me up?
I did.
Oh, well, that's the first time you complained about that. Let me point out that the minutes of the meeting are not very detailed. The commissioners' comments, sometimes you have long discussions and there's only very sparse renditions of that in the minutes. The audio is spotty because some of the commissioners don't use their microphones properly, and so you can't really pick up the audio. So if you had a video camera hanging from the ceiling pointed at the four of you and it was hooked to the sound system here, you get a much better recording of the meetings and offer more transparency and accountability as far as how the meetings are recorded. That's my feelings about it. And of course, the video would also catch you in the way that you conduct yourselves as public servants. You would actually be on video, and people would be watching you if they wanted to, assuming it was posted online. So that's the point of having a video camera hanging from the ceiling. It was originally talked about as part of the remodeling of this county commission meeting room, and then it got dropped and it never got taken up again. So that's the point.
What was it talked about?
It wasn't talked about to you. Danny Shipp said he discussed it with the contractor and with his IT people, and it just never got brought to the county commission.
Right, because it's costly?
Pardon me?
Would the cost be an issue, why it wasn't brought forward?
No, well, he said it was $5,000 cost. That's
5,000?
Back then, is what the cost was. But, that's your wife, right? Okay.
She fights my fights for me.
Okay, okay.
And then if people wanted to hear what they had to say, couldn't they just come to a meeting? Like,
I can't hear it.
Not everyone can come to a meeting.
Okay.
That's the point.
And those outside couldn't hear, yeah.
So,
Is that all you need from me?
So what else was said in the article?
CW did it.
Why don't you read the article?
By the papers, because I know how slanted they are.
We still can't
I
hear.
don't agree with that. But go ahead, what are you gonna say?
It was read to me the other day.
The article I wrote was read to you the other day? Well, then why you need me to recite what was in it?
Well, I don't know whether it's true or not, so I'm gonna ask you being here the author of it. Was it stated in there that Chairman Bell told the clerk to do all of that stuff?
When we were discussing the video camera, the clerk said that Ryan Bell was the one who instructed him to look into the possibility of a video camera for the county commission meeting room as part of this project. That's what he said.
Was it also stated in there that Ryan had authorized the clerk to do the remodel too?
No, I didn't say that.
So that's why I'm getting it from you, because that was what was read to me.
Right. I think it'd be a good addition to this commission meeting room, and I think you get a much better rendition of the actual meeting and how the meetings are conducted and what you all are saying. I believe the audio system can be connected to the camera that they're talking about. So it's a decision you'll have to make.
So if that was the case, then we didn't really need any local papers in here to cover them, would we? I think helping yourself put yourself out of the job.
I don't think that's the case. I think it was just there, if people wanted to look at it, they could. Just like a newspaper, they can buy it or they don't want it. If they buy it, they want it, they don't buy it.
Mr. Reese?
Yes, if it's gonna cost $5,000 to put in a video camera, you could obviously save $5,000 just by pulling the mic toward you, just so the audio part could be covered.
Well, I think the issue a lot of times also is you can't hear the people in the audience. And I really, you can call me a weak chairman, you can call me whatever you want. I really have an issue with telling somebody every time they want to say something, we come to the microphone. I think that drags out meetings and slows things down.
What happened to the mic that they used to pass around? It disappeared?
We can't keep up with it from week to week.
Well, that's pitiful.
Point blank.
That's pitiful.
So, anyway, I agreed whenever I was interviewed on the telephone to bring it up, I brought it up. And so what is the pleasure of the board? Do we have any interest in this? I believe we're being videotaped right now with a device that costs way less than $5,000. Now maybe the addition of hooking it into the audio system is what drives up the cost, but you know, I don't know all the details on that. I wasn't privy to the meeting. As a matter of fact, it was a surprise to me on the Monday whenever I received the phone call that it had even ever been discussed about installing the camera in the meeting room.
I was approached by IT or someone that the electrical part was never completed. So I called Michael Graham with Staley Construction, and he come and met with the IT people, and I understand that there was a part either that wasn't available or wasn't ordered, so there's some part of this that was never completed. To complete it now, I think they gotta pull up the carpet and reroute stuff both here and to the podium also. Earlier today, when Ms. Collins addressed the board from where she was at, Shannon couldn't pick her up. That's why she made that comment to you when Mr. Witt said that, you know, you can pick up people. You cannot pick them up. We used to have those things hanging down throughout the room here. But there's some part of this project that was never completed, And I think Mr. Graham is now going back to the vendor and trying to find, that piece of equipment that didn't complete the job. I wish Mr. Shipman would, I don't know him more than that right now.
Yes, ma'am.
I guess I'll go up.
Can't hear you if you don't.
Oh, whoops. Okay, that's fine. Leave it there. I can hear you. You are being videotaped. This is something that the Levy County Newspaper Group, which is the Chiefland Citizen, the Tri-County Bulletin, the Cedar Key Beacon, and the Williston Pioneer have been working toward. We pulled the trigger on it a little early because our competition, which is pretty fierce, suggested it. You are on the internet. You're streaming live as you need. Thursday we streamed you live, and the only thing I can tell you is one of the two people that I asked to listen to the test said, and Commissioner Meek saw the text message, pretty boring, bring pizza. On the technical end, it was not just Commissioner Stevens that couldn't be picked up. I'm not sure the mere advent of a camera will do it for you. Ms. Rooks, you have a very soft voice. The other person said that the two of you were hard to hear. But, you know, the iPhone cost considerably less than $5,000. My tripod came from Big Lots, so did my monopod, also nicknamed the selfie stick. I'd like to have something a little more stable, and I'd like to talk to the commission about perhaps putting a little sticky above the shade where we can put a phone in that I can activate remotely. And yes, they are available on Ustream, that's a Ustream, at the Chiefland Citizen channel. You can watch them anytime. They're up for 30 days for now, and then we will be transferring them to our website. Cedar Key Commission does the same thing with their meetings. They televise their meetings. They're available on the chamber website. Anything I can answer? No? You let me have my brag moment. I'll go get my camera.
I'd just like to make a comment. I think that's a great way to go because there's people who cannot make the meetings who work and they get to see it streaming. I didn't even know that was happening. It's true, there's another part of the constituents of the county that miss the meetings or
I don't have any problems with it, except for looking at the overall cost. But as far as that goes, I don't have any problem with it. We're just looking into it.
Got a question, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Gaither.
Mr. Meeks, would you ask her, is that something that's free that people can see? Is it like her newspaper where you have to subscribe in order to see it online, or the journal's free?
Ustream is free. It only costs if I decide that I want to have people interacting with this as it's going on, and unfortunately I'm busy taking notes. So it'd be better if I didn't take questions or comments. But yes, it's available free online. That's the beauty of it. That and another program, Periscope and Meerkat, are out there.
Well, I guess at this point we take a consensus on whether or not we want to pursue finding out the cost. Miss Lily seems to be interested in it. Either way, I mean, it appears it's already happening, so.
It's already happening, then why?
Why would we want to spend money to do it? Somebody's already doing it.
I mean, Mr. Gilbert done it in years.
Yes.
So,
Free of charge.
Free of charge. Yeah. Mr. Witt, please speak up.
I'm talking about the county commission making an official record that's posted on the clerk's website. The newspaper can do whatever they want to do. I'm talking about putting it on the county's official website. Recording the entire meeting then becomes a form of the minutes. It's actually recorded during the county commission meeting and posted on the clerk's website. That's got nothing to do with that newspaper at all. They can do whatever they want to do. but that's not an official record of the meetings.
I'm perfectly happy to let the clerk link to the website where it is.
And I don't think.
He can link to Ustream without my permission anyway.
All right.
What you see, what you do there, I don't care where it's on television, this person. My opinion is, channel 20, if they want to video something, they send somebody a video, right? Channel 51, they want to video something, they send somebody a video. All the other news people, they want to video something, meeting, they send somebody a video. They want this, our meeting video, but somebody out there videoing it.
They're already videoing it.
That's so.
We've got 2 or 3 cameras out there.
I just don't.
Been popped up over the last month or so.
It don't matter to me, I mean, I'm gonna sit right here and chew my chewing gum and pop my jaw, that's it.
All right. Well, it appears we do not have a consensus, so. I've done my duty as far as bringing it up. If the clerk wants to address it, that's up to the clerk. Mr. Sheriff, you got anything for us?
No, sir. Good.
Good to see you.
Good to see y'all.
Delegation from English Neck Town, good to see y'all. Anybody else? Mr. Livin's here.
Good.
Living, good to see you. Looking better every day.
Getting your eyes checked soon?
Well, recovery.
Okay.
All right, we got a little bit more business to do, and then we are out of here. Approval to pay the bills.
Make a motion to pay the bills as presented.
We got a motion and a second to pay the bills. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Minutes, August 4th, 2015 meeting. Any
Ms.
corrections?
Candace? We good?
She wrote it, man. You can't go by that. Is he on the payroll?
I thought they were fine, I just wanted to make sure she was good.
I didn't.
I'll make a motion.
I didn't see anything.
I read them, I didn't see anything. That maybe.
Motion to accept as presented in a second. Any further discussion on the minutes? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Oh, Lee, I hate to even ask this question. Does anybody have anything needs to come for this board before we adjourn today? Yes, ma'am, Ms. Allahan.
When's the next public hearing on the budget?
We will have a meeting on the 14th to adopt the no, that's not.
September 14th at 6 o'clock here is the final budget hearing, the final millage, and your assessment.
And assessments? Okay, I thought we did assessments, then we were coming back. Okay.
That ends
14th.
the whole program, that ends the budget.
14th. We will be.
14th.
All right. One last note, there is an election in the city of Bronson today. If you're a resident of the city of Bronson and you have not voted, please get out and do so. All right. And with that, I declare this meeting adjourned.
That's 6 or 6:30.
6.